Hey everyone, I have some thoughts based in part on some recent interactions. Again, a lot of the stuff that I post whenever it comes to videos and little rants is inspired by stuff I see on social media. Because, like it or not, that has become a massive part of the world of fitness and sort of the popular consumption of science. This specifically goes out to people who work in the fitness world, exercise world, coaching world, etc., who claim to be evidence-based. I put air quotations around that all the time, as people know if they've been following my stuff, because I think it's more a catchphrase or a buzzword than anything else of substance, at least for most people. Maybe not all, but most. And anyway, to those people who consider themselves evidence-based, stop talking about papers that you haven't actually read. You can't learn much about something just from reading the abstract. This is a really, really common issue, and I think it just plays into the stereotypes that people have about fitness folk, that they have a short attention span, that they've got, they're not able or willing to spend more than a couple of minutes looking at anything because they just aren't concerned about the details. They want the broad strokes. They want the big picture. Problem is, when it comes to research, you can't understand the big picture unless you can comprehend the details, because those details do matter. They weave together to create the bigger picture. And I'm sorry, if that means that you have to stop and, spend a few months or a few years learning about methodology, learning about, all the caveats and covariates and confounding factors and the variables that can influence something you're looking at, regardless of whether you're aware of those variables. Well, that's just how it works. Science is not easy. Evidence is not easy. Not when you're trying to evaluate it on a level that actually allows you to make any functional, useful inferences. So to claim that you know the content or the implications of a paper that you have never read is intellectually dishonest. It lacks integrity, it's foolish, it's pointless, and all it really serves to do, if it does anything, is reinforce biases. Now, there was a recent discussion of a particular paper, and it's not really that important to say what it is. Some of you seeing this may know the paper that I'm referring to indirectly. But if one or more authors on the paper are people who whom you don't trust or whose work in the past you've criticized, that's all well and good. I get that. It makes sense that if a person has proven themselves either to be just a poor professional, not a good scientist, or otherwise has shown themselves not to be trustworthy, then sure, you may not be interested in reading their stuff, but then just don't read it. Just move on with your life. Because even if in the past they've done work that's shoddy or done work that you don't trust or don't believe or whatever, if their reputation is sketchy, that does not mean that this new paper you're looking at is necessarily as sketchy as their previous work. Maybe it is. It probably is. But you don't know that. And a big part of sciencing, if you want to be disgusting enough to use that as a verb, is understanding where the edges or the limits of your knowledge are and not stepping past them whenever you're making a claim. Know when you're ignorant. And don't speak from ignorance. Simple as that. Yeah, that person may not be trustworthy, but you don't know what's actually in that paper. And until you've actually read the damn thing, you've really got no place to talk. You'll notice that most scientists, most people who actually produce research, aren't nearly as cavalier about the way they talk about these things. You'll get a lot of fitness folk who may, if they're lucky, have an undergraduate degree, who will say all sorts of things, dismissing a paper left and right, feeling like they're scientifically literate enough to know just based on looking at an abstract. Most decent scientists, at least the ones that I know, don't do that. They withhold judgment until they've actually seen the text. Now, they may not be interested in reading it because it doesn't concern them or because they tend not to like the work of a particular author, but they're not going to say that they know definitively that it's a crap study. Take a page out of their book. Learn to be a little more conservative with the things you say. Because to people who are scientifically literate, if you go waving around your ignorance, you just look foolish.